Hello and welcome to the This Is Somebody conversation series. Tonight, my guest is Kesha Brown, the Uncommon Chick. And Kesha works with savvy professionals and creative entrepreneurs to co-create fantabulous relationships so they can experience juicy-tastic lives and enjoy living authentically inspired personal and professional lives. Her personal mission is to show women that they can have the life, business, and body freedom that they desire and deserve. Welcome, Kesha.
Yes.
I'm so happy to be here with you. We met in a Twitter chat several years ago. What was it? It was like Tuesday Twitter chats. I can't remember even what I can't remember the hashtag now, but it's been a few years.
Wow. And you know what? That's a very long time in social media, in the social media universe.
It is. So you have, you inspired me from the very beginning. Like I remember like not knowing anything about anything at the time.
And I was able to inspire.
Yes, I was so inspired by your social media presence. I loved your energy, even though like we had never had a conversation. It was just like in these Twitter chats. And I was like, she is amazing. So I am excited to be sitting down with you tonight.
You warm my heart. Thank you.
Look, I only speak the truth. So tell me about business and how this came to be and how it even relates to like your own journey with body image and body love and everything.
So yeah, how much time you got? No,
yeah, I got time.
Essentially, and I'm putting on my headset here. Okay, so essentially it started a long time ago, but I'll bring you up to speed rather quickly. So the Uncommon Chick world and universe really began because I wanted a space to talk about this life stuff and my thoughts. And I felt like I was in a silo. You know how you feel that way sometimes, where you feel like you're just doing everything on your own and nobody else understands. And
yep.
Yeah, so I was in that space. And I had been blogging before in 2009. And a little bit 2008, 2009, I had already been blogging, but it was more so on business, social media, website design, because that's my background. That's what I do. So that's, that was the business blog, though. I wasn't really talking about those personal things and my personal thoughts and all of that good stuff, right? So I was like, okay, I need a space to actually write what I'm feeling. And I love to write. So, hey, we spunky women tonight. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes, that's amazing.
So, I got into that space of I want to write more and I want to inspire other women who may be going through something similar or maybe thinking about things, but not really understanding how to go about, creating the personal freedom that they want. And then I was thinking about a name. I was like, okay, what kind of name would my blog have? And I was talking with Danielle Little of the Cubicle Chick. And she and we were in Miami, and this is where Uncommon Chick was born. We were thinking about ideas, and I was like, I want to be a chick, because in our little group, we have the Cubicle Chick, and we have Smart Money Chick, and I said, I want to be a chick. And, we were just talking about, I felt like I was always kind of the oddball out when I was growing up. I was playing school by myself. There's just things I like to do. I love to read. I was a 12-year-old reading adult books. You know what I mean? So, that was just me in my space and, just kind of always a little bit different in my opinion. So we started talking about that. It's like, dude, Uncommon Chick. I'm like, boom, it is. And Uncommon Chick was born.
Wow.
Yeah. And then even from there, it has evolved to this day. I am just so happy with where things have been going and the people I've been able to meet like yourself, just through this journey of just creating inspiration for others. And, when you get those emails that says, this particular idea or this particular post or, I hadn't thought about that. This has really changed the way I think about my perspective about what it is in this particular area. And it's changed me or, I've been transformed.
Yes.
And that is definitely what keeps me writing, what keeps me working with women, especially, I just have a soft spot for my girls, for my chicks, you know, and I want us to be better women, be better mothers, be better people, you know, in general. And so that's my whole goal. Let's create some freedom. Let's do what we want to do.
Hello, we've earned it.
Yes,
we ever should have had to earn it.
Thank you. You know, we've lost that somehow, right? So let's get that back. Let's get that back.
Absolutely. And how has body shame and body love played into this for you?
So yeah, so there are different aspects, right, of all of us. And for me, one of the reasons I started a magazine style blog is because I wanted to talk about relationships. I wanted to talk about health and fitness, and definitely talk about my journey, right? And part of that journey in that has been my body, my relationship with my body. And so, you know, there was just a lot of different things that I've learned coming up from, you know, 20s. Like, I never had any issues coming up when I was young. You know, that wasn't really the issue. The issue started when, you know, you get freshman 15, sophomore 25, you know, junior 30. And, you know, after college, it became, okay, this is my new me. You know what I mean? This is me, like 30 pounds heavier than I was in high school. And at that point, I didn't really think much about it, right? Until, you know, some family members started to comment, like, sis, well, what you got going on there, girl? But it still didn't really get at me. You know, I'm still thinking, I'm good. I'm you know, I got a little more meat on my bones or what have you. And it wasn't until I got into this whole, like, I was about 27 years old. I got into a whole, like, burnout area and burnout period. And it was in this time where I really looked back and said, you know what, this journey that you're on is not working. It is, you know, you're not treating yourself properly in terms of health. You know, you're trying to build a business, but you're doing too much. You know, it just had so much going on. And I'm thinking, you know, I have to work hard now so I can play hard later. That was my idea, right? Like, that's what I need to do. But then it turned into, no, boo, you need to sit down because you will fall out. And you need to do some more self-care. You need to really learn how to take care of yourself. And part of that was healing the relationship with my body, because it was at one point, I would tell you this, I had gained 50 pounds since high school. Now we up to 50. Right now we up to 50. So 50 pounds since high school. And I'm like, you're getting speaking gigs. You're sending out to the world. You're telling people this is what you want to do. You want to speak on stage. But then when an opportunity presents itself, the first thing you think about is, what are people going to think about the way you look? Right? Like, you know, the attire that you have to wear. I have to wear all black because cameras are going to be, you know, going to be rolling. You know, what am I going to look like? People, I just wasn't as confident as I know I could be, and as how I was previously, to around the 27 age range, right? So 27 to 30. I mean, it was a couple years. It wasn't like overnight, right? It was a couple years of this healing and going through things. And just understanding that, you know what, if you don't like something, then you have the option, the choice, and the audacity and the power to actually change it and do something about it. And so for a couple of years or so, you know, the whole yo-yoing with the dieting, until I really understood it ain't even about food. It ain't even about, you know, what you're doing or what you're putting into your body. It's more so about what's going on up here. Right. And until I really started to understand that and really do some self-talk and, you know, just those internal reflection exercises and, you know, how do you really feel? And where are you going with this? Like, what, anybody could go on a diet and lose 20 pounds. I have. You know how many pounds I lost over the years and gained back? It ain't even about, you know, weight and losing and all this good stuff. I could go, dude, it has been, I'm telling you this, it has been a journey of trying to figure out what's going to work, what's not. You know, been on every single diet you can think of. No, the diet does work. I can tell you that. Oh, they work. But they are temporary fixes if my mindset didn't change and my perspective on what it is I'm actually doing. And so for a long while, I was like, oh my God. So, you know, we get into that self-sabotage phase. where here I am asking to speak, and this was huge for me. I'm asking to speak on stage in my mind, like putting out to the universe. I'm asking to speak on stage. My goal this year is to get more speaking gigs. You know, this is like 2011, somewhere around then. My goal is to get more speaking gigs. And then when I turn around and say, but if they ask me to speak, you're going to feel some type of way when you're on stage about your body. You know, not one point did I think, oh, am I going to be giving value? My presentation is going to be about. No, it's like, how are they going to see you on stage? Are they going to judge you based on your size? Are they going to judge you based on, you know, how you look in your clothing with this roll over here? You know what I mean? So it really was a lot of negativity in my mind during that time frame. And again, it was a matter of me saying enough is enough. This is not a good, healthy feeling. I don't like feeling this way. And a lot of those in my car, I do a lot of self-talk in the car because I can talk out loud. It's just me. Like, so I do a lot of that in the car. And it was just one moment. You know how you have a turning moment. You remember this moment. You will never forget this moment. It was a moment I'm in my car and I'm talking to myself and I'm going down a rabbit hole with the why. I'm asking why. Well, why do you believe this? Or why do you think this? You know, I keep asking until I actually get to an answer. Because at first, I'm giving myself surface answers, right? Oh, because, you know, why do you think you need to lose weight first before you can go speak? You know, well, because I didn't want to be concerned about that. Well, why are you concerned about that? Well, because I think people in the audience. Why do you think people in the audience? So I'm asking all of these questions until I get down to the final answer of, well, then is it because you don't like the way you look? And the final answer to that was no. So then the next question was, well, what are you going to do about it? I'm telling you, this is me. When I'm talking to myself, I'm talking to myself. Just like I'm talking to you right now. Right. And it's like, okay, so what are you feeling then about this body that you're inhabiting? You know, are you wanting to be able to live longer? You know, all of the healthy stuff, get the vein out of the way, all the healthy stuff. You know, what are you trying to do? You're not trying to be on medications and all this type of stuff. It's like, yeah, that's all cool, fine and dandy. But what I really want to do is look good. Right. You know, well, how do you look good? Well, if I was this size, like I still had a size 12 clothes in my closet, like that was my size. You know what I mean? Like I want to get back to my size 12. I got size 12 clothes in my closet. Well, boo, you're not size 12 right now. So what are you gonna do about that? You have a speaking gig coming up. You're not going to speak, or are you going to hurt yourself trying to lose weight to get into a size 12 so that you can feel good? I'm telling you, Stacy.
It's never ending if you go there, right?
It gets real. And then I was like, well, do you love you? Right? Why was there a pause? Why was there a pause? And so then I went down a whole nother rabbit hole of, okay, you couldn't just say yes immediately. Why was there a pause? You're thinking yes, but you didn't say yes. I like to talk out loud. You didn't say yes out loud. So what does that mean? But then it's like, okay, of course, yeah, I love me. But no.
Right. And then that really is the crux of it all, right?
Yes, exactly. It's like, dude, you can lose all the weight in the world, but if you still don't honor and value you as a person without this body, then what does the body mean? There has to be some type of mind-body connection. I just feel like if the mind and the body are not playing well together, it's never going to work out. And then that's where the shame comes in. That's where the negative self-talk comes in. That's where the covering yourself in clothes that don't fit you because you feel like you have to wear too big. You know what I mean? Or you feel like you have to wear black all the time.
I do. I know exactly what you mean.
See? And that's not my style, girl. I am colorful. I love color.
That's one of my favorite things about you is I'm looking at it behind you right now.
Yes, right. Exactly. Yes. Polka Dot says, yes, we're hiding ourselves to please others. Absolutely. Oh, and I am definitely a recovering people pleaser. I will tell you that right now, just to be honest.
You know, look, you and me both. You know, it's so interesting, and I'm so glad that you brought it up because, you know, with all the conversations that happen about body shame and how we should love ourselves, you know, the thing that we keep always coming back to is the worst body shamer of all is always you.
Yep.
There's no one that can shame you more than you can shame yourself. No one has the ability, the power, or the intel to shame you.
Right.
The way that you can shame yourself, because you know all of your secrets.
Exactly.
You know all of the stuff, you know, all of the ways that you hide, because it's easy for other people to not, you know, most people, they're too busy thinking about themselves to really see you so well. Right. But you see all of you, and you know all of the stuff that you do, even the stuff that, you know, the times that we put up the defense of confidence, because sometimes confidence is a defense mechanism.
Yes.
You know, where we put up this great wall, and it's like people think like, oh my God, she's so amazing, I want to be confident like her. But inside you're like, this is a mask.
Right. Exactly. And then that's where the feeling like a fraud comes in sometimes too, right? Right. So I'm like, most people, and no, you know what? Probably everybody you ask about me will say I am the most optimistic, the most happy person ever. Mm-hmm. You know, like I've never, or most people, unless you're close to me, will say, I've never seen you mad. I've never seen you just having a bad day. I'm like, yeah, I have those. I just don't choose to, you know, put that out there, put that negative energy out there. If I'm in one of those bad moods, I'm just stay at home.
Right.
I don't want to go into the world and bring that negative energy. But yeah, it's not optimistic 100% of the time, and nobody's that way.
Right.
But I just choose to try to bring that energy, not just around me, but around other people as often as I can. Mm-hmm. And yes, it's me inherently. But yes, there are a lot of times you know, you just got to put that face on, you know, especially if you know you have to be out. Like a lot of times I'm out, you know, you're out and you checking out somewhere, or you know, you're at a restaurant or something, and the server has an extremely horrible attitude, like they don't want to be there at work. That's bringing negativity to you. That's transferring all of that energy. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you didn't feel like coming to work today, boo, you should have stayed at home. And so because I think like that, I'm like, okay, well, you don't need to bring this out into the world. So if there's a way you need to stay at home, or you need to fake it till you get back home, then that's what you need to do. Mm-hmm. And so that's my personal, you know, philosophy. I never want to come around somebody else with a bunch of negativity.
Mm-hmm. I usually, I can be very hermetic anyway. Okay. Naturally, like when I'm in public, I'm very social, but my natural tendency is to kind of stay to myself. But when I'm in a mood, like I usually am very vocal about that, like especially to my loves, you know, I'll say, you know what, I'm bitchy today. Like you've been warned. I'm bitchy. Like I'm not going to do intentionally be that way.
Yeah.
But I feel it, and I don't know if I'm strong enough to push it down. So I'm just telling you. So if you get hit, know that I don't mean it.
Yeah.
But I told you. Like
but you know what? I'm glad you do that, because at least the other person knows, hey, we need to give her space.
Exactly. Because I like to give people the choice, you know, and sometimes it creeps up on you. You don't even know, like you're not present enough to realize you in that space, you know, but most of the time it's like, okay, well, it's like, I done snapped at 2 people today. Like I'm in a mood, and I'm like, look, this is not my normal get down, but today, that's where I'm at. So no, I definitely understand that. And you know, it's interesting because, you know, like when you think like that, sometimes like, and maybe you have this experience too. Like sometimes when I get that waiter or that waitress that's in like the funky place, like I can have a tendency to excuse poor behavior, because it's like, oh, they probably had some awful patrons earlier, or the people, and then it's like, you know what? No, it doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with me.
Right.
You know, so, but that comes from my, because I'm also a recovering people pleaser. And by recovering, I mean, like, it's still a thing.
Of course. Yeah. That's why we are recovering.
Like, it's still a conversation. Like, I was just saying that, you know, earlier today. I had this, I was conditioned very young, you know, not by anyone but me, to exchange deed for love.
Okay.
And so now I'm still having to consciously say to myself, like, I do not have to work for that. Like, I don't have to do anything. I don't have anything to prove, that it's okay. And if someone is acting up, that it's not about me. And it doesn't mean that I need to do anything different or work harder or show up more, or anything like that. But it's still a conversation that I have to have all the time.
I'm glad you have that conversation. I think
it took a long time. Like,
but you know what? And that's why I like to talk with mature women. My millennials, they have a lot of other people that can help them, come into their womanhood and come into their space. But people of my age, 30s, hitting 40s, that type of thing, I want to be able to say, have you thought about this? Because when you grow up a certain way and you're not taught to, think about yourself, or you're not taught to understand how to talk to yourself, then you grow up with those same ideals, and you get into the same situations over and over again, and you're not really understanding why. Right. And I think that's where, if we have more discussions where we can just be open, be vulnerable, which is something else I'm really newly learning, right? Be open and be vulnerable with like-minded people, especially us women, then I think that those discussions can be held in a loving way to get all of us to be more open to new perspectives, new ideas, new ways of handling things, right? And just looking at things a little bit differently that can tell us, you know what, this isn't working for me, or I need to say no more often, or I need to say yes more often. I need to love my body the way it is right now, so that if I decide to do something about it, then that's my choice. You know what I mean? So those types of things I really, really want more of us to start having.
Absolutely. In your experience, how does talking about it diffuse the shame?
Because it starts the journey. I think, and then talking about it also gets you out of silo. A lot of times, and this is me all the way, especially growing up, and just in the last few years, I've, done something a little bit differently, but I've always been one to, when I have an issue, when I have a problem, nobody knows about it. And it continues in a spiral like way. So if nobody knows about it, the worse I start to feel, because I have this huge weight on my shoulders to actually solve the problem that never gets solved, which means I'm now in another deeper state of shame and, just negativity and lack of energy and all of this good stuff. And the cycle continues because I'm not talking about it with someone else who could either help, or it could be a listening ear for me, to be that sounding, to be a sounding board for me, or to even give me a different perspective, because all I have is what I know. Right. That's not to say that I can't call Stacy and have this really vulnerable discussion with her, because I know and trust her that she can either offer something, if I ask for it, or just be that listening ear for me that can allow me to start the conversation.
Absolutely.
One of my girlfriends, my best friends, she always says, we as women like to solve problems, which is awesome, right? But sometimes we don't need to have a problem solved. You'll call me and you'll tell me a situation. I'm like, okay, but girl, how about you do this and do that, and that's not always what we need.
Absolutely. Look, I am guilty of that with my daughter.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah, especially with our young people. We want to.
Yeah. And if you love them, it's even worse.
Yeah.
Because you don't want them to hurt. Like, like you don't want them to hurt. You don't want them to struggle. So she has asked me, she's like, Mom, when something happens to you and something's not working, you immediately go into, how can I fix this? What can I do?
Yep.
Well, she's like, I actually need to sit back and sit in it for a while.
Yeah.
And she's like, but when I talk to you, you're always like, well, what you want to do? Like, what can we do about it? How can we fix it?
How old is she?
20.
Oh, that is so mature of her to say that and to acknowledge and know that about herself. That's awesome.
Well, she told it to me in a therapy session that she invited me to.
Oh, that is awesome.
And I was scared. Like, my sister was like, well, how are you feeling about that? I was like, you know what? I am prepared for the shitstorm because no parent wants to sit in therapy with their kids. You're like, oh, she's gonna tell me how fucked up I am and how I done gave her all this baggage. But it was a beautiful session.
Oh, that is awesome.
It was full of really she didn't have that many things to say that were actually, we were able to, and we talk anyway. But I think it was nice to have like a third party that could ask us both the questions that we are too in the situation to see for ourselves.
Yep.
So it was really, really beautiful. And she is very self-aware, but she's also self-aware enough to acknowledge when she doesn't want to change.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she'll be like, you know what, Mom? Like, this is how I'm feeling right now. And I know that that's probably not how I should be feeling, but this is how I feel. And I'm not interested in doing anything about it.
Yeah. I mean, all of those things.
Empowered.
Yes. And that is awesome. Oh my God. That is so awesome. Tell her hopefully she's surrounding herself with other people who are like her, or, other people who.
She finds that challenging, I think, I guess, in no matter what generation you're in, that is a challenge to find your people, because I still feel like the minority offline. Online is very easy for me to find my people because we kind of all cling to the same poles.
Right.
But offline, I am in most of my conversations, I'm often, in the minority, or I start to feel like I'm not being fed, in those conversations, and nourished is one of my favorite feelings. So I'm really I'm trying to be patient about that, because I'm maybe sometimes I have to come to the conversation with an open mind, and because maybe it's not for me to be nourished at that moment, maybe it's for the other person. But sometimes, that gets old after a while. It's like, look,
I'm hungry. Where's my nourishment?
Absolutely. So tell me, in your work, have you seen body shame come up? When you're helping women with businesses or other parts of their lives, do you see how our connection, because as women, we have a tendency to link our value to our body, even unconsciously. But do you see that come up a lot?
Yes, I do. And most of the coaching I do today is around business coaching. However, with that, and by me being I help you stand out online with your brand and your design and your business and things like that, right? Well, what do you have to do to stand out? Be you, right? And so a lot of times, and it's I almost expect it a lot of times, and I'm like, okay, well, we need more, bold photos of you. We need the pictures of you that really describe who you are as a person, so we can show the world, who you are. And then there's retreat, or there is, well, I don't really know if I want to show myself. Can I just put a picture of a team member, or, can I, put a picture of just my head, or, can I do a headshot only? Just having those discussions with women around, these are the things that we all have to do in our business to really show up and show out. And showing up means showing up as all of you, and even in business, I don't like to separate the two, because we can't have a very, very thriving, healthy life and an unhealthy business, and vice versa. Yeah. We can't have a horrible, well, I won't say horrible, I won't say that. I'll say this. We can't really have a thriving business if our personal selves are not in a space that's going to allow that business to grow, because we are intertwined, with all areas of our lives. And so, I don't often like to separate it. However, that's how it is, right? You have to kind of put yourself in a niche, so to speak, and then you can start having the conversations. And so, yes, around that, and it's like you said, it's subtle. It's, well, again, the fraudism, right? Fraudism comes up a lot too. It's like, well, I'm helping women with relationships when mine isn't working so well. I mean, but that's right now. That doesn't negate what
Exactly.
Or
that's a huge thing. That's a huge thing, because we backpedal a lot because we over scrutinize ourselves.
Yep.
And where we are, as if life is ebb and flow always. The ocean doesn't stay at the shore.
I know, right? It's in and out. It's in and out.
All day long. And it's not saying oh my God, I'm less than because I'm farther away from the shore than I was because the mood is full.
Right.
You know,
it's like, I see you. I'll be back.
Right. And that's exactly what it's like. Because even if you are generally happily married, it doesn't mean there are no arguments.
Exactly.
You know, just because you love your kids doesn't mean you like them every day.
I know, right?
You know what I'm saying? Like we have this thing, like we want only the light. You know, we want only the light, as if the dark isn't necessary.
Right.
You know, there's a reason that the sun appears to go down. You know, and we have that same experience, but we, especially as women, I think men don't necessarily, they don't judge themselves as harshly about those things. Like, you know, a man can show up powerfully at work, and if he's an asshole, like he'll say, I'm an asshole, and he's cool with that.
Right. And going on about his business.
Right. A woman is like, oh my God, did that sound bitchy? Like, you know what I mean? We have this thing that we want, and I guess it comes back to wanting to be liked. And I guess because, you know, that's kind of the conversation we unconsciously have. And I know I had it. I didn't know maybe that I was having it with my daughter, but I'm sure, you know, in her toddler years, I probably, you know, I'm sure I said stuff like that wasn't nice.
Yeah.
You know, like, and yeah.
Yeah, we all have. And just a lot of those things hold us back. Body shame I think is one of the main things that underline everything else that we do.
Yes. I don't think most people realize how, I know I didn't, like how big of a part it plays, because it's particularly if you're not the kind of woman that says like really mean things to yourself. Like, because I don't say mean things to myself. So for a long time, I was able to not realize the ways that I was shaming myself. Like, you know, not wearing sleeveless shirts because my arms were big.
Yeah.
You know, like that was my main body shame. That was my main thing. But because I never ever looked in the mirror and thought, you so fat. Like I've never said that to myself. So I didn't think I was doing it.
Yeah.
You know, or you know, because there's a difference between like wearing makeup because you like the way it looks and wearing makeup because you don't like the way you look.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Two very different experiences, because intention is everything. So it's easy to not realize how we hide and because body shame doesn't have a body type. Like I say that probably in every single one of these conversations.
Yeah.
And the reason I say it is because so often people think that body shame is just about being fat. It isn't.
Nope.
It isn't. There's so many women that a fat girl would look at and be like, oh, her body is banging, and she's like, oh my God.
Like, what is your problem?
Absolutely.
Yes, it does not have a size attachment to it. Because here's the thing. Body shame is not necessarily all based on how much fat you have in your body or what your fat percentage is. It's an underlying ideal that we've had from some, and we can always go back and pinpoint where it comes from. If we really try hard enough, we can go back and pinpoint where something comes from. Maybe as we were growing up, somebody in our life told us how much we weren't going to be something. Yep. Or I was listening to a podcast, and I can't remember the lady's name. I was listening to a podcast, and she said how athletic she was, even all through high school and college. Yet she felt like her body, being an athletic body, wasn't athletic enough like some other girls on her team. So it's like she was, you know, she had some bad thoughts about her body, and she went through this whole she had an eating disorder. She was talking about how she overcame her eating disorder because she wasn't as athletic as somebody else. So not talking about fat at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right? Exactly. And she was just talking about how other girls on the team got more attention because they had, you know, their body types carry muscle differently than hers. So it was just a whole, and it really opened my eyes too to the exact same fact. This does not have to do with fat percentage
at all.
At all. Because you can hate your body for a million different reasons.
Yep. My booty ain't big enough. My tits are too small.
Right. Or you know what? It can be even deeper than that. Maybe somebody did not treat your body well.
Yes.
You know, it can go that far. You know what I mean? It can go that far. So it's not necessarily a size thing. And I hope that people this whole fat shaming hashtag thing, and just all about fat people, this and that. I'm like, okay, it's way, yes, that's the end result sometimes of the main issue that's going on here.
Exactly.
And it just goes back to the question you asked earlier: is what is talking about it going to do about it? And I think again, it starts the conversation.
Yeah.
It starts us to understand what really is subconsciously happening.
Mm-hmm.
We're on autopilot most of the time. 90% of the time, we're on autopilot. We need to wake up.
Here's how I scheduled this blab for the wrong time.
You were on autopilot.
Yes, I definitely get that. I think that the conversation is also is really important, like you were saying, because there is someone who isn't fat, who maybe does have an athletic body, or maybe they're just tall and lean, or whatever the body type is. But there is that person that's out there that feels like there's no space in the conversation for them because people keep focusing on it about it being fat.
Right.
And so that's why I think it's really important. And, like I said, I'm sure I say it every single time, but body shame does not have a body type. Like it doesn't.
I want you to keep saying that.
All. It doesn't. If you have a body, you're susceptible. Like that's the rule. That's the only.
I'm too tall. As a matter of fact, I was at a vision board event, and one of the speakers, she used to be a basketball player, and she talked about how actually she at the beginning of her presentation, she said, all those 5'8", 5'8" and under stand up. And, I'm 5'8" and a half. I had to own my little half inch. I sat down. But she was like, I was this tall. Basically, she's tall, right? So she's like, I was this tall in the 8th grade, just in elementary, junior high school, she was already taller than most of all the other kids. And so she was talking about her journey with that and how that played a part in where she is now in her life, the journey that she had to go through and being the tallest girl. Or somebody else is thinking, tall, I wish I saw, I'm the shortest. So it's always something.
I wonder what is it about like us as human beings that makes this this need to pick ourselves apart for anything.
Yeah.
Like, what is that drive like, and where does that come from? I'm not really sure, because you're hard pressed to find a person on this planet that doesn't do it.
I think there are a lot of different elements. We can definitely, and I'm not placing blame or anything, but we can definitely say that a part of it is the media and how just across the world in different cultures, what is beauty, what looks good, what is beautiful, what's not. And just the history in different cultures, you get a whole nother subset of issues.
Yes.
And in the Black culture, you got light skin versus dark skin. You got natural hair versus.
Still going on. Like, can you believe it? Like, that's still happening.
I don't get it. I really don't. I mean, how can two Black women fight about hair? Right. How can you say I'm not right because my hair is not, kinky? Or how can you come to me and say, oh, you're not right because your hair isn't straight? I don't understand that fight at all.
It's so interesting because those little subsets in every culture, and it doesn't, like, it's race, it's in sexuality. My guest last week was telling me, and I didn't know this, but she was saying like how like those kinds of things play out like in the queer community. She's like, like women who aren't butch, or women that are, or men that are not bears. Or I was like, I didn't even know like that was a thing. But she was that it's like we keep on, as much as we keep having this conversation about unity, we are constantly focused on separation.
Yep. We always find something to differentiate ourselves from another in the worst way possible. Not in the way that's going to allow all of us to shine. But it's in the worst way possible, where we feel like we have to be the crabs in the bucket. I mean, I hate to bring that cliche up, but
well,
I have to step on you in order for me to get ahead. And
the thing about that is, I always tell my nephew, when he's like, because sometimes he'll, we talk about his friends and stuff, and I use the crabs in the bucket or the lobster in the tank at the restaurant, and I always ask him, how many times have you seen a lobster on the floor? It never happens. Like you might end up at the top. That just means you're the first one to get picked out the tank, but you never ever go to a restaurant and see a lobster on the floor. Mm-hmm. So like we do all that climbing to get to the top of what? You're never getting out.
Right. Yep. And I don't know if people see that.
At all. Yeah. It's heartbreaking. I mean, at the same time, like, I would love to say like, oh, I want to build a world where there's no body shame, where there's no segregation. I don't know that that's possible. And not because I don't think that we can, but then what would we do? Right. Growth the only time we grow is when we become aware that there's something that we don't know. Right. And so as much as it's kind of like that light dark thing. Like, I'm not saying that we have to be, picking each other apart and assassinating each other's character all the time. But, the only reason we're having these conversations and opening the floor and making sure that other women know that like they don't have to dislike their body and that shame is a conversation that we can diffuse it by talking about it. The only reason it's happening is because it's a thing.
I know. And you know what? And then so that's another question, right? So we can talk about it all day and we can start the conversations with each other. That's cool. It's a start, right? Mm-hmm. Then the next question would be, well, how do we get over the hump? How do we actually have body love and not body shame and not body hatred and body negativity? How do we really have body love when I have all this other stuff going on in my head about what it should look like and what it should be? You know what I mean? And
how do you answer that?
Girl, I was like, we could have a whole nother discussion about that. No, I think in a nutshell, and part of my journey was this, and I'll say this, and you might not want to hear it, not you, Stacey, but anybody who's listening, you might not want to hear this. It takes freaking work.
Yes.
That's number one. It takes freaking work. You have to be willing to do the work. First, you have to understand a problem. So I'm like, we finna go to AA real quick. First is, in order to get there, you got to get out of the denial phase. That's number one. Secondly, understand that there is going to be work involved. When I say that, here's how that work looked like for me is reflection. I'm a journaler, so that wasn't a big problem for me. Maybe there's another way somebody can do it. I don't know, audio, voice, whatever, but I like to write. So I use journals as my path of asking questions and just really trying to go deep within myself. There was this book I found at the bookstore. I do not know the name of it. It's not in here right now, but it was a book of questions. That's all it was. And I will tell you this, some of those questions in the beginning, I did not answer because I did not want to write down the truth. And that was powerful for me. Mm-hmm. And, it asks questions about your childhood, your growing up, adult life. I mean, it asks all these, it was like a book about this size, just of questions. That's it. Right. What? Did she freak? Stacey, you froze on me? All right. So I'll continue. I'll say, of course, that book of questions actually helped me to answer some of those deep questions I was initially not even willing to answer. And so, oh man, I wish I had that book sitting here right now. I mean, it just, when I realized that, oh my God, I don't want to answer that question. I don't want to actually write the answer to this question. I knew I was onto something because that meant that I needed to go even further to understand why I believe something, why I like or dislike something about me, about others, and really understanding how to navigate all of that. And I will say this too, if you feel like you can't do it on your own, then there are other people or third parties that can help you kind of navigate how to actually go from where you are now to where you want to be. So Stacey says her screen is frozen. All right, this is my show now. I'm taking over. But just going that route, Stacey will be back, I'm sure. But going that route and understanding, okay, so if I want to go from this negative space and this negative thought and ideas around my body. And I want to get to a space where I am freer with my body. Hey, Stacey, welcome back to my show.
You know what? It was frozen for me. And I was like, I wonder if it's frozen for everyone else. I'm glad you kept talking. Thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was just going through like those book of questions would really help me to understand where I want to go from where I was, the state that I was in. And I found that book. Oh, it was synchronicity. I found that book right on time. I still have it too, so that I can always refer to it to see where I was and all of that stuff. But if it's a point where you feel like I can't even answer that, no, and I can't. I don't even want to answer that question because it's going to get deep. It's finna go down if I answer this question, right? Because that means I now have to tell myself the truth. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But once you get past that point and say, okay, here's why I am where I am right now. Let's remove all external items like food, environmental factors, the media, your friends, parents, whatever. If we removed all of that, where would you be? Mm-hmm. And if that's your destination and your end goal, how do we get there? And then I was also mentioning third party help is a must if you cannot navigate it through yourself. You know what I mean? There are a lot of times I'll self-therapeutize in the car. But I have a therapy friend I can actually call. But if you don't have that, you better take your butt to go get some actual real help, because I really want you to be in a space that you can be free to, for me, go speak at places and don't worry about the fact that you are a certain size in front of an audience of people who are all not even probably thinking about that at all. Right. You know, not even thinking about that at all. You're the only one on here. And then that affects your performance. That affects it. So when you are in this space, it affects your relationships. It affects everything else you do. It affects everything.
Heals intimacy.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You know how many women say they can't do things for their own freaking husbands? Yep. Or they can't, they got to have the lights off, or I'm like, this is your husband.
Right. I have heard those things. I knew a woman that would get up at like 5 a.m. just so she could put her face on because her husband had never seen her without makeup.
You are kidding me.
Or women that won't have sex with their husband in the daytime or with the lights on.
Oh, that's no fun.
You know, this is the thing, like, your husband ain't thinking about your rolls. He know they there.
Like you with clothes on don't make it high. I mean,
it is the same thing, and he is not concerned. Like he's like, I'm getting some. That's what he's thinking about. He is not thinking about none of that other stuff. But yes, it is such a it really does. It's not just about like the clothes, or it impacts every area of your life. Yes. Like, and you can't grow if you're stuck in the shame. Like, it seems like a really, surface thing, but body shame's main end goal is to keep you small.
Yes.
And it will do what, by any means necessary, it will keep you small. It'll make you play small in business. It'll make you detach in relationships. It'll keep you from going for certain jobs or, applying for certain positions. Like, shame's end goal is to make you as small as it possibly can. And it will if you let it.
Yeah. And I often like to question, and I ask my mothers, especially those who have daughters, what are you teaching your daughters?
Yeah.
What are you teaching your daughter? The fact that you have such a limited perspective about your body and how it reacts, or how you go about life is based on that. How do you teach your daughter something different if you are not doing something different? Absolutely. Do you want your daughters to come up? Do you want your sons to grow up and feel like this is the way women should be, and that they're going to treat them accordingly?
Yes.
So it's an overarching effect. Mm-hmm. This type of thing that we have in ourselves sometimes.
Because kids live what they learn, not what you do.
Yep.
They live like not what you say. Like, they live what they learn. So you are always modeling behavior, whether you want to or not.
Yep.
Like, you're modeling behavior, and they're looking at it, and even if it's unconscious, And, and sometimes that looks like them growing up and doing exactly what you did, or fighting so hard not to that they end up doing exactly what you did.
Anyway, right. Thank you. How many times do we see that? All the time.
All the time. All the time. And I love that you talked about doing the work, because the thing about evolution is it's eternal. Like there's no finish. Like, you scrape off one layer only to find that there's a new layer that's taken its place, and you're not going to be done. So like, you really do have to be in it for the long haul. And the thing is, as long as you're on the planet, you either are going to be working to be of the best version of yourself, which is going to constantly change, or you just going to be here being the worst version of yourself.
Yep.
Either way it goes, like it's eternal. Like it's still gonna come up whether you do something about it. It's either the layers are gonna pile up on top of layer after layer, or you're gonna scrape it off and deal with the next layer, or you end up with this much and then you got to clean up all of that.
Which gets more difficult each layer is
it calcifies, right? Like so it's doing the work, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it's our relationship with the idea of work that makes it feel so hard. But like every time you feel like you've gotten there, like, oh, I dealt with that. And you're like, fuck, here you are again.
You know what? I'm glad you said that too, because I've started to talk about this more so, and I'm going to be talking about it more on the blog and things like that. But just in the relationship with my dad, and how over the years I had this long grudge, against him from childhood, right? And so it's like, once I thought I had forgiven him, or forgiven myself for holding this grudge all this time, and then I see him and all those feelings come back, it's like, you ain't forgiving nothing. You got to go back and relearn go back and work on this, because these feelings are letting you know that there's still something here, right? So when we are, just here's one thing I would ask people to do: pay attention. Your body says it all. You know how some people, your faces tell them, girl, yes, your body says it all. When you are feeling some type of way, and you know that it's not your space, it's not your boom space. Like, you know what I mean? So when you're in that space, your body is vibrating, your body is low energy, or you're tired. I mean, all these different things. Start paying attention to the thoughts that you have in your head and the way that your body is reacting physically. Because it's telling you, you're just not listening.
It tells you everything you need to know all the time.
Yes.
All the time. And it's literally a metaphor for whatever you're experiencing in your life always.
Yep.
And and that's one of the beautiful things about like getting to know your body, because and particularly we like to separate, like you had talked about, like the mind and the body separation. We also have a tendency to separate the spirit from that. Like, our spirit communicates with us through our bodies. Like that's what gut feelings are. Like there's no intuition without your body. Like, feel nothing without your body. It doesn't happen in your head. Like it happens from the neck down.
Yes.
So like you really do. And like, because being able to trust yourself is really about being able to be in your body and feel what it likes to live there.
Yes.
And it's so easy to disconnect. Like we numb out, like literally we numb out. Like we can't feel anything. But that also is exactly how we make poor decisions.
Yep.
Because we can't hear the wisdom, and the wisdom it speaks through our bodies.
Yep. All this other stuff we're using to make us numb, right? Then we can't feel, which means then we don't know what's going on, which means then we fall back into that spiral.
All day, every day.
Yeah. So I just want people to I hate to go back to the school days and be like, wake up.
It's really, really fascinating. And I wish that I wish I could say like I was born knowing. I wasn't. I had to grow into this too. And I had to really, I really put my body through some things, because I was disconnected. And it actually took for me you know, for sensations of discomfort.
Yes.
to get in there for me to really start paying attention. And because pain is not a symptom, it's a signal. You know, a signal that says, look at me.
Something's going on here.
Exactly. But once you're in the space, like now when I have anything that it's like, oh, like I was having discomfort on the left side of my body, like not like sporadically, my knee and my shoulder, you know, and I was like I'm not in flow. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not in flow. And I really couldn't, I was saying it, but I still wasn't getting it. Yeah. You know, and it literally took for me to have a UTI that when I peed, it only hurt on the left. And I said, wow, I'm interrupting flow in my life. Like literally. And now it's showing up as a literal metaphor.
Oh my God.
And I was like, okay, I really had to step back. And once I was able to see how I had such tunnel vision, particularly in my business, that I was the only measurement of success that I was gauging was money and negating everything else.
Yeah.
You know, and I was literally strangling, like my business was constipated and couldn't move because my flow was blocked.
Oh, say that again. I don't think they heard you. Say that again.
Yeah, like, that's exactly, like my business was constipated. I mean, when I say it couldn't move, because my flow was blocked because my vision was like this.
Yep.
And I was like all year long, it would be like, oh, I can't hardly lift my, you know, it was just like, dang, you know, like, what's wrong with my knee? I'm struggling to sit Indian style because my knee is acting up. But it was, and I was saying it like my feminine I'm not engaging with my feminine. And what's interesting, what I realized in looking is that I am right-handed. So I do dominate with my right on the masculine side. But let me tell you, when I have my purse or a bag of books or groceries, I only carry it on my left.
Wow, really?
I'm literally burdening my feminine all the time.
Wow. But you know what? I am so glad you paid attention to that. Like, to be aware of that after a while. I know it probably took you a while, but at least you got to that point.
It took me a while, 12 months, I'm sure. Like, but you know, but that's also like going back to what you said about like third parties. That's the reason it's really important to communicate with other people, because you can't see all of you, no matter how hard you try. You know, you can't see the fullness of anything about you. And that's what other people are for. And that's why you need a therapist or you need a coach, because you need someone that can reflect back what you cannot see.
Which is why I always love the frame analogy. If you're in the frame, you can't come around to the front and see it.
Absolutely.
You're in the frame. It takes somebody else walking up on the outside looking in to see everything else that's going in. So yes, definitely.
Absolutely. I have enjoyed you. Oh my goodness. I feel nourished.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh my goodness. You have such a way with words and expression, the way you show up. I really, really, I just love you. Like for all these years, like.
And we could talk forever. So we're gonna have to, do something else later.
I agree, because I love the work that you're doing, and I love that it's so layered, because business is not just business.
Yes. Uh-oh, I think she froze up on us again. Oh, poor baby. Well, I agree with Sophie earlier as Stacy was talking
like you
about
said,
her business not being in flow. And she said, you better preach. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. And I hope people are hearing this and understanding what that means when you are not in flow. You can't flow here, but not here. Everything has to flow together. So boom. I'm just recapping.
Look, you are great. Look, you're a great guest. I have never had this many issues with.
When technology works, it works. When it doesn't, girl, it's
that is. Well, I'm glad the recording keeps going. So yay!
Awesome. I didn't pay attention to that. I'm just talking.
Well, I appreciate you. This has been so good. Like, this is some soul food. Like, I really love nourishing conversations, and to be able to connect with someone that gets it. that has lived the experience, because it's so easy anyone can talk about something, but if you haven't had an experience, it's very difficult for people to connect with it. Like we connect through real life stories.
Right, exactly.
So thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your light. Thank you for being a beacon for women to be guided home to themselves, because that's literally your work, right? Like you help them grow business and visibility, but really you are helping them to return home to themselves.
So I want to credit you because I want to change my tagline.
Look, that is your elevator pitch. I help women come home to themselves.
That's that beacon. You see that light? It's
right. Call me #lighthouse. Like
right. Exactly.
Oh, yes. I love it. Well, I cannot thank you enough. And I am excited, and I can't wait to see what else you got going on so I can share.
You are awesome. Well, you'll be part of it. Don't worry, because you'll see something from me later where, you'll see an email from me later.
Yeah, I'm on the lookout.
I'll leave it at that.
Well, I know it's later for you, so thank you for sharing your evening with me. This has been just juicy. I am full.
Oh, we're good. Well, since she's full, you guys, come on over to the Uncommon Chick world.
Please do. Look, tell them how to find you, all your social media contacts and stuff.
I am Uncommon Chick all over the place, but I love to hang out on Twitter and Instagram mostly. But uncommonchick.com is, the main hub. So come over to uncommonchick.com. Let's connect. I'm a social butterfly online. So, wherever your favorite network is, just connect with me.
You do it so well. I need to be like you when I grow up, because you're
so silly.
You do it so well.
Fun. It's fun. I love meeting new people. I really do. And connecting and having these types of conversations.
Well, I am so grateful to be in your orbit. Thank you.
Oh, now we go. We gotta go.
Well, we will be in touch, and I will be talking with you. And so much deep bow to you.
Thank you, boo-boo. Back at you, darling.
Bye.
Bye.